jump forward here. Now, in Maxwell, you have the ability to create accounts within your account. And so if you create accounts for customers, they will show up here in your contacts list on the left. And you can select, so you can sign in as yourself and set things up. But in this case, I'm going to set stuff up for Bob's own stuff. So I'm going to say my account, we made this Epson 9800 proofer, and there's the track. Okay, we just select that track and say OK, and then ColorShuttle is now bonding that hot folder to the track in Maxwell. And any measurements that are in a compatible format that drop into that hot folder will automatically get uploaded right into Maxwell. And that works quite well and quite quickly. So what I'm going to do is quickly open up a folder with some test files in it, and I'm going to drop one of them into that hot folder. And then I'll jump right back into ColorShuttle. And within a second or two, you can see a white arrow appears on the upper left there. And now you can see the hot folder history. It says there's a P2P file that I dropped in there, and it's already been uploaded. So this hot folder gives us quite an open-ended capability within ColorShuttle. Any instrument that's not directly supported by ColorShuttle, but saves out, like a CGETS compatible file, and standard text file for color, can drop it right in there. You can anything that ColorPort or Measure Tool supports, you could, like the DTP41 or whatever it might be, you can measure right in, save into the hot folder, and bang, up it goes into Maxwell. You can save into here from places like a press console, that kind of idea. We're continually evaluating and writing translators to get different text file formats to convert up into Maxwell. And so if you have a particular system that spits out a text file with measurements in it, by all means, let us know what it is. Send us a copy of the text file, and we will write a translator. And then you can simply save out of whatever it is, a Komori system or an X-Write system or whatever it is, right into the hot folder, and up they go automatically. And this also gives the architecture is a little flexible, so that, for instance, if you don't have access to the internet from the press room or from some other location, the press room may have access to servers. So you could save into a hot folder on the server, and then ColorShuttle can be running on a completely different computer out in production or some other area that does have access to the internet, would see those files arrive and then send them up. So there's quite a few different options, really kind of endless options, to what we can do with hot folders. The other step is to measure directly into them and do pass-fail. We can set up a default instrument if we want that helps speed things up. We can set up a default target if we want. But more importantly, probably just if you check the pass-fail checkbox, then it opens up a few more options. And one of them is label printing, and right at the outset it says that the label printer setup is required. It's easy to do label printer setup. There's a list of the printers on the left side here, and you just click on the one. I have a Dymo already connected to my system. The printers that show up on this list are the print queues that are set up for things connected to the computer. So I select this Dymo, and I set it up as the label printer. And it's going to set up a blank test label that I can do a test print with. The most important thing is to just go into the page setup, select the label size, shape, and orientation and all that for whatever labels you're using. We use the same label size that most use, but we have a fair amount of flexibility in the labeling. And then I could do a test print here, and once it fits on the label, you're set. I can go back into the proofer hot folder here, and believe I can say preview only, but there's a few different options for label printing. You can auto print everything you measure, only the passed, only the failed, manual only, preview only, or off, and you'll see a little bit of what that means. But so that's what it takes to do the setup. We're ready to do proof verification now. So let's try one. The first time I click measure, it's going to download a bunch of stuff from Maxwell. And it's going to take a little while, and so that's the part that we're beta testing right now. Hopefully it'll go smoothly for my demo here. We'll see how it goes. So I'm going to select the ID Alliance target, and it's waiting for me to plug in an I1. ColorShuttle's quite intelligent about how it deals with devices. It keeps an eye on what's connected and what's not connected to the system. Let me turn the sound on for this. Okay. Place on the tile to calibrate. Now, what we've done is we've programmed it so that we can be as efficient as possible. So clicking the button on the I1 will start the calibration. And then when that's complete, I can start scanning. And this is, fairly typical stuff. We have some startup and scan tones in here. I'll do scanning of the 2 lines of this particular target. And then I could mouse over and click the save button, but it's faster and easier, in fact, for me to just click the button on the I1 again. And there we go. It took a little bit longer than it would normally take because that was the very first measurement I made in ColorShuttle. And so it had to download all of those things that we set up online. You may have noticed that we didn't specify any of that kind of stuff in ColorShuttle. We didn't talk about what the color reference was. We didn't talk about what all the metrics were. We didn't any of that stuff. It pulls all that down from Maxwell automatically. Does the measurement, calculates the metrics, and here's the label that we'd get printed. The labeling system that we have is very flexible. It's going to allow us to do some wonderful stuff in the future. We can lay out and design labels for you, whatever kind of layout you might need. And in the future, we're hoping to offer the ability for you to do some of that yourself. But even today, we do offer the ability for you to set up your own logo. Finding the logo is always the fun part, but I want to show you that it's a fairly straightforward thing to upload a logo and use the custom logo yourself, because you can do it per track. It's a good idea if you're going to upload a logo to, first of all, make it in the right format like JPEG. Name it with a logical name that you'll remember later, because that's the name Maxwell will give it when you want to interact with Maxwell about it. So the logos are uploaded into the account itself. So for Bob Maxwell, I'm going to click on my account, and then I'm going to say Upload Logo. From here, I just browse onto my computer, go to the desktop, choose my corporate logo, and then say Submit. Everything going well, it'll upload that logo in a few seconds. Okay, and then I can go back to my track, the Epson Grackle proof, and then in that track I say Edit, and it says Label Logo, and I just pop that up. Well, and now I can choose corporate logo for this. So that's the logo thing. If you've uploaded a logo, it just appears in this list, and you get the default one, or you can choose yours. And we expect people, in many cases, to choose their own. Now the reference set we selected, I can select it and you can see, is this Grackle Reference Set. Now a reference set in Maxwell, the whole purpose behind a reference set is to bundle some of these things together. Okay, so we selected color aim, which would be what people tend to think of as a reference. That's the actual IT8 that was done for Grackle by ID Alliance, download, all that kind of stuff. So that's the color aim, but what we also did is we bundle it together with metrics so that you can set up a series of different metrics that you want. And you can see, right now I have 3 in here, average, max, and standard delta E. You can set the tolerances on them, you can set which ones you like, and those will appear on the label, and those will also, the tolerances of course will be used for the pass-fail. Now this is the industry standard one that we put in here, and at the moment, at the user level, there aren't specific tolerances for Grackle and swap. There are for getting a proofing system verified, that kind of thing, but there aren't for the average user wanting to do this kind of function. If you want to use things outside of this, then you really want to make your own reference set. So let's do that. Now the purpose behind the reference set is really to bundle these things together. The idea is, once you create a reference set, you have the metrics and the tolerances and the color aim all bundled together. Then it's easy to assign that to a whole bunch of different tracks. So you can basically set a company-wide tolerance effectively, and then assign it to all these different tracks, and you're set. If you want to make a change, you make a change, and it will change everything. All of the tracks that use that will change, for better or worse. But it works quite well and quite fast. So let's take a look here. What we're going to do is we're going to make our own reference set. So I go back to the track, and then instead of selecting something out of the list, I click on the plus button, and that will make our own reference set. And for our own reference set, I'm going to also call it Grackle, but I'm going to call it Grackle Corporate Strict. The reason I use a word like strict or something is you may have one set that has some really strict tolerances, and you use it on a certain set of devices, like maybe your proofing devices, that kind of idea. And then you may have one that's less strict, where the tolerance is a little wider, and you still want stuff to pass, but you're